My name is Amanda Alejandre. I've been in education for 13 years, 2 years here in PSJA. This is going to be my second year. And I do have a co-presenter, which is my coworker. We both work at LBJ. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and allow herself to go ahead and introduce herself so that way you guys can see who the other co-presenter is going to be. So let me go ahead and do that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexys Martinez. I am Amanda's co-presenter for today. So I will be working the chat as she presents, and then vice versa. I will be presenting a little bit as well. So thank you to everyone that's here. I really appreciate you all coming in and willing to learn these different platforms. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So our session is basically titled Tailoring Instruction to Meet the Needs of All Students. So we all know that from time to time, some students might catch on more with certain types of tools. So we're trying to basically go over some tools that you guys might already be familiar with, or you just kind of need to make sure to refine your understanding of those specific platforms. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first platform that I'm going to go ahead and introduce, which is going to be our GIM kit. So I am going to be, wait, hang on. My camera on? Yeah, okay. I'm going to be introducing both GIM kit and Flowcabulary. So let me go ahead and get started with that. Okay, so this is basically what you see when you come to the landing page. So I want to make sure that everyone understands that GimKit has a free version as well as a pro version. Now, this is a landing page for GimKit, and right here at the very bottom, I went ahead and created my own account that is not from the school, just so that way you guys are able to see that right here, it's basically showing me that I'm going to have the GimKit Pro version, and it's just a trial period. So yes, it's going to show you guys the Pro version, but I'm gonna make sure that throughout the entire presentation, I'm able to basically explain the differences between the Pro versus the actual, I guess the one that's not the pro version. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to say is at any point in time when you log into GimKit, if you click this button up here at the top, which says GimKit in bold letters, that is basically going to take you to the landing page. So for instance, if I click school library, but then I'm kind of confused, I'm lost, what do I do? Then you just go back here and it'll take you back to the landing page, which is the beginning of everything. Okay, well, that didn't work. Okay, so here I click kits and it's going to take me to my kits. So the first thing that you guys can do, just because we always want to make sure that we're effective with our time. So I can always, if I'm logging into this GimKit platform and I want to create something engaging for my students, I can go ahead and search kits. So if you search a kit, basically what you're doing is you're going to be searching the entire platform. That means educators from everywhere that have already pre-made some type of presentation. So in that search bar, I teach science, so I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know, type something atoms, right? If I type atoms, all of these pre-made kits are already here, which is a really beneficial part of this actual platform, because then you can still, right, just kind of like our Mr. Claudio was saying, you can still refine and remix, right? Make sure that you kind of take what's already been created and make it your own, so that way you are giving yourself less work as an educator. Okay, so let's click one of these kits. So if I wanted to use this author's kit and it's relevant to me, I can go by and check to see, look at the existing questions that this teacher might have already created and just make sure that it correlates with, the TEKS here for us in Texas. And if it does, and you say, okay, you know what, this is perfect, I don't even have to change anything about it, that's great. That's a huge plus, because then that's basically going to help you with time management. Okay, so for playing live, this was something that was kind of, they changed a lot to it. So in the very beginning, GimKit was free. It was free when COVID first hit. And then after COVID, you know, kind of boiled down, I mean, COVID still exists, right? But regardless, once it kind of boiled down and we're all back in the classroom, what they did was they were making GimKit a limit. So basically you could only have a certain number of students sign on to play live in the classroom. So now what GimKit has done is right here at this top portion where it says welcome to GimKit, they alternate these versions. These are the free versions, even if you do not have GimKit Pro, and you can play these different modes with your students. So one week you might see that Snow Brawl is free, or Fishtopia. The kids love Fishtopia. Trust No One is very similar to Among Us. But then the next week, you might see that there's going to be a different batch, because these down here, if it's only to the GimKit Pro, you'll see that it says this exclusive. So those are the ones that you will not have access to. But again, you might come across it one week and these might actually be up here. So you'll have access for the kids to play those versions. Okay, so now if you do click those links, of course, it's going to prompt the kids to log in. Let me just kind of show you guys so that way you guys can see. You can change the duration of the time and whatnot. And then you can just click continue. And this is basically the version of what the students are going to see. And this is where they're going to log in, right? So they go onto this website and then they put this code and then everyone starts to log in. I've noticed, to be honest with you, sometimes when I play alongside with the students, they kind of get more into it, but it's a great way to review any type of concepts. Even if you're trying to do like a pre-test and then a post-test to see, you know, how their fluency is, formatively or informatively, it's all up to you guys. Okay, so then here, there's several versions right here. If you look on the left-hand side, you can play live, which is the version that I just showed you guys. You can practice, right? So let's say that you have a student who's struggling with a specific concept, but you really want them to focus solely on that concept. So you can always copy this link and go onto the Google Classroom, right? So if I would copy that link, I could go onto my Google Classroom. Let me do that. So that way you guys can go ahead and see that. Ooh, well, it'd be nice if I was signed in already. Let's see, does it let me? Let's see, just so you guys can see that, so that way it's easier. Okay, so let's say for this one, for instance, if I wanted to have the kids use it for practice, I copy this link. And then if you want to place it under classwork or the stream, you can do either or. And then you can assign it just to that specific student, right? Like here, this is going to tell me all the sections versus the students, you can assign it to just one student. And then you can put the link here. So then the student will basically have the access to practice that game over and over again. That's the practice version. To share, there's two options. You can either share it through email, right? If you and your coworker are creating one together, or you're planning and you're trying to make sure that you guys can roll these out to your students, you can share it by email or copy the link and put it in your email address, or you can share it on Twitter, which is an option. I don't share them on Twitter, but I mean, if you guys do, that's awesome. And then there's this copy button. So this allows you to copy this person's already created kit. However, if you click these little dots right here, you can edit that version. Like, let's say one of the questions you didn't like it. Okay, I don't like this first question. You can either edit it or you can just delete it altogether. Okay, if you would delete it, you would select this box right here, and then you would just go ahead and click delete. Okay, so that is, hang on, oopsies. Okay, well, let me delete that one. Okay, and then if okay, that's the only one I wanted to delete. Okay, I'm done, and then that's completely created. So then that brings us to, you can play live. You can play live with your students. This is also a way to click play live, or you can assign it as homework. So keep in mind, again, you're only going to be given these three options for homework, or whatever featured options that they have right now. Like these two at the very bottom, the Farm Chain and Cash Tycoon, since they say GimKit Pro, you won't have access to that. unless, of course, you have the pro version already, or you're still within that trial period. But this Fishtopia is there so that way you can actually assign it for homework. And you can link your Google Classroom to it so that way it'll assign it to all the students as well. And I'll show you guys that in a little bit. Okay, so then let's say I want to assign it, right, for homework. So I click assign, and when I click assign, this is the link that I'm going to basically be putting into the Google Classroom. Okay, and then here it'll show you your results. So as soon as all your students have basically finished it, or if you're trying to observe whether they have finished it, this is a place to go. Okay, so let's go and actually here, click this at the top to take me back to the landing page. So here is where you want to click classes. If you want to click classes, of course, right now, I'm not sure where we are with master schedule and whether your principals or admin have finished those master schedules. Nevertheless, this is an option, right? You can create a class. It's a little bit different because it doesn't necessarily import everything from the Google Classroom, but let's say that I wanted to create first period, right? Like this is going to be, well, if I could type this morning. Okay, if this is going to be my first period class, I create the class. So the only way for the students to actually join this classroom is to place this link into your Google Classroom. So the students are joining as they are, basically you're curating your class and it doesn't do it automatically through Google Classroom. But then here it'll show you your members so that way you can go ahead and, you know, maneuver that. Maybe you have a student who joined that class and then they switch schedules, you can delete them here. And then that's for the joining part. So I did want to go ahead and have you guys kind of take a look at it just so y'all can kind of, you know, get a feel of the actual platform itself. So I went ahead and found something for Disney, something that's simple so you guys can go ahead and play with the program itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click play live and I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and join. Let's see, let's try Snowball. I'm not going to lie, I've never tried that one before. You might be a character having to try and move around the actual, it's like a background that they show and you're trying to like move around and figure out what you can do, but mess around with it so that way you guys can kind of see the student version. Okay, I'm going to give you guys about 4 minutes just to kind of see what's going on with that and you guys can get a feel for that platform. All right, the code is there, so you guys can go to that website, gimkit.com/join, and the code is visible on the screen. Awesome. Thank you, Denise, Miss Rod. Awesome job. Okay, so just to kind of let you guys know how this works, like let's say you're waiting in your classroom and not everybody has joined, but you have your 2 eager beavers that are ready to go and start playing. You can click start game and then the rest of the students can simply join whenever they get into the platform. The code will show over here on the side of the screen and if you click it, it turns big. So that way the rest of the students who are still trying to join can join. But if you kind of move around the screen, I can do it too. And as you go through the entire game, you'll figure it out. Like you're going to run out of energy and you're not going to be able to move. So then you have to go over here, click answer questions. And then this is where the questions pop up to allow the students to keep playing. I think that's Bolt. Oh, that was Anna. So there's different versions. Honestly, some kids love Fishtopia. The kids also love Among Us. There's so many different versions. So it's really just becoming familiarized with which platform your group of students really, you know, gravitates towards, so that way you can tailor your instruction and make sure that you're meeting the needs of all students. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this so that way we can go ahead and continue to the next platform, because I do have one more platform for you guys to kind of learn or get more knowledge from, because I know a lot of us have already kind of used these platforms in our classrooms. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the script. So I'm going to exit out of here. And we are now going to be presenting Flowcabulary. So Flowcabulary, it's pretty cool. This one also has, they are now partnered with Nearpod. So if I have any Nearpod fans in here, you're gonna love Flowcabulary. Flowcabulary, this is the landing page. It's flowcabulary.com. As a district, I know last year we did have the full version, so that still might be the case. So that's awesome, right? Because then we have the full version. So right here, I'm assuming these are my classes from last year. So as you notice, you can add classes. So real quick, just to kind of go into that, because I know that's one feature that we love as teachers, to make sure that we make our lives easier, because if it can go into the Google Classroom, it's magical. So here we go. So right here where it says add a class, basically you can create your own class. That's probably like for a tutoring group where you just want certain students in there, versus you can actually import your classes, okay? And those are going to be matching up with your email address from the school district. So as soon as you do that, all your classes will be imported, and then that's how you get to assign lessons to them specifically. Okay, so now getting started with that, at the very top, there's 3 little tabs right here. It says lessons, mixes, about, and so forth. Okay, so right here is the main part. This right here, lessons, is it's similar to this. It's exactly the same thing. It's just organized in a different way. Okay, so right here, lessons, I teach science. So again, that's what I'm basically going to, share with you guys. So if I click science, let's say that I want, I don't know, a life science lesson. Oops, I forgot to click it. All right, a life science lesson. So I want to make sure that my students are learning something about life science. This is really cool, because from the teacher's perspective, you are going to see that it has the alignment. It shows different types of alignment, whether it's TEKS, whether it's Common Core, it shows all of that. So, okay, what's going on? It's not loading. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's say that I want to teach, I don't know, food chains, okay? Food chains can be different all the way from 4th grade all the way to 8th grade, depending on the level of rigor, right? So you have, first things first, once you find a lesson that you actually want to go into and you open it, it's going to say assign, whether you want to just assign everything for the students already or teacher resources. So this is really quick. I want to show you guys this because it's a really powerful tool. And when you click that, hang on, let me log in, because then it's not going to give me access. Here we go. All right, so now if you look here on teacher resources, it's going to say overview, right? This is basically all of it, what it's going to cover. It tells you the recommended ages, so that way you know that you make sure that you are giving the students what they need in terms of their grade level. It shows handouts that might be available for your classroom, that you guys can print these out before you start the lesson. And then it also shows the standards and alignment. So here it says, okay, we have alignment amongst all 50 states. So you click here, okay, well, what is applicable to you? So here, this is where you would go Texas, and then put your subject matter, your grade level. And then right here, it's going to show you where that lesson that I just chose, what TEKS it correlates with. So all these ones that say 1 or 2 or 63, it's basically showing you the alignment. So that's an awesome tool as a teacher to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing when it comes to making sure you're delivering what you're supposed to in the classroom. Okay, so that's a great tool to make sure that you are aligned. Now, going back to this, right here, you have the video option. So this is basically just an introductory video. It basically just shows, I'll start it in a little bit just to see if you guys can see what it says. Let's see if you guys can actually hear it, because sometimes I know you guys can't. Let's see. It's the food chain. Everything's got it. If you can hear it, give me a thumbs up in the chat. All things need energy to live. It starts with the sun, because it's got a lot to give. Shine a light on the plants, which the animals eat. And that's how we get the energy that we need. Come on. All things need energy to live. It starts with the sun, because it's got a lot to give. So, I mean, basically what it is, it's the real catchy songs that you guys can play. Usually what I will do is, as the students are walking in, I'm playing these songs and they laugh. They're like, Miss, this song is so cheesy, right? And they laugh about it, but believe it or not, they will be singing it in the hallway. So, I mean, it's funny. So that video basically is like a hook, right? To make sure that your kids know, okay, what you're going to be talking about or what the lesson's going to be talking about. The second one here is vocabulary cards. If you click vocabulary cards, basically these are like flashcards. So the students can study these words. You know, these are the main words that the students need to know in order to master this concept. So it shows them the word and what the definition is. Okay, you can draw, or they can also write the word. Okay, and that one's for each one. Okay, and they can just use these as flashcards as they want. So it's basically going to be building up on each other. So if they watch the video, after they watch the video, they practice on the vocabulary cards. Then after that, if you click vocabulary game, now you're going to have to answer questions that are relevant to the vocabulary cards to make sure that they can make music. So let me kind of show you guys. So it says build a beat, answer questions to earn new instruments. So the kids have to read what it says here. Tiny one-celled organisms that are neither plants nor animals. Well, I know because that's bacteria, so I click it. So the answer is right. So then it's going to continue to make beats, and it's going to add in every single different instrument as they go. So let me go all the way to the guitar so that way you guys can see how this works. Okay, drag for the missing word. It says, and that's how a food chain works. Are there lots of food chains? You bet. All the ones that link up, that's a food web. Okay, an animal that does not produce its own food, well, that's a consumer. Okay, so then now the next question that I answer right, the guitar is going to start to kick in. So the kids like it because they're making their own music essentially. This plant is a blank because it makes its own food. It is a producer. So then they would drop it, and then if it's right, there you go. You start hearing the guitar. So they like it, they get into it, they're answering questions, it's vocab, you know, and they're building their vocabulary, which is great. And this is academic vocabulary. An animal that, I'm going to answer this one wrong so you guys can see what it does. An animal that eats other animals. I'm going to say it's a producer, it's not. Okay, just so that way you guys can see. So it counts it wrong. So it tells them, all right, this is the right answer. So it tells them the right answer. So it's instant gratification. That's what we live in. That's our generation. The kids want to know now what happened. So it kind of gives them that instant gratification as they like. So that is this version of vocabulary game. I'm going to go next to break it down. Break it down is going to be basically open-ended questions. You know, so they're going to have to answer these questions, and then they can watch this, create a video clip, find evidence in the video that supports the idea that food chains can change depending on populations. So then here they're going to describe four links or a food chain in 4 different ways. So it's getting the kids to think on that critical level, because we do have those 7 new item types. So the more fluency that they get with actually using those strategies, the better it's going to be for us. The next one is going to be read and respond. I like this one because this one's cross-curricular. You know, if any of your admins are really looking for, you know, how are you integrating RLA strategies? How are you making sure that you're supporting the RLA teachers, you know, with other strategies that they do, so that way the students understand, you know what, just because it's RLA doesn't mean you cannot use those strategies in science. So these kids will basically read this passage and then they'll answer the question. I'm just going to put whatever, I'm not even going to read it, just so you guys can see how it works. So if you answer right, It'll show you the right answer. If you answer wrong, of course, it's going to basically tell you what your answer is. So then at the very end, it allows them to go over all the answers. I'm just going to click through it so that way you guys can kind of see the student version, or what it shows the students and how they're able to check for understanding. Again, they read the passage. There's also these awesome little boxed words, which is very similar to the actual STAR model, because remember on STAR, the students have that those what are they called, designated supports, where they are boxing words, so that way it shows them the definition. This is a great way that Flocabulary is integrating that, so they'll be able to do that when it comes to the actual STAR test. Okay, I'm gonna continue. I have one more answer, that way you guys can just see what it looks like. So then you submit. So at the very end, you get to review your answers. Okay, and then the kids get to see, okay, what did I do wrong, and so forth, and they get to go back over every single one. Okay, so then the next one is a quiz. The quiz is very similar, but without having to read the passage. Same thing, answering the questions. Again, I'm just going to put whatever, just so that way we can see what the student's going to see at the very end once they answer the questions. Okay, and then submit quiz. So again, it's going to tell the student their percentile, and then they get to go back and review their answers to see, okay, what did I do wrong, and what did I do good, and then the last one is Lyric Lab. Lyric Lab is a little different, because basically what it does, it's basically asking the kids to create rhymes. Okay, so I kind of already had tried to create something here, and then at the very bottom they can change or create a beat. So basically what the students do is, let me go back so that way you guys can see how this works. Okay, so at the very top, remember the entire topic is about food chains. So it's going to give the students the actual instructions, right? So right here, I'll say show steps. So it says step number 2. Oh, hang on. Let's see. There we go. Step number 1, think of a fact or detail about food chains. Write a short line with that fact or detail. But the whole idea is for the students to use these key vocabulary terms that they learned over here and practiced over here. Okay, so then here they create a short detail. I can say food chains show the energy passing from one organism to the next. Of course, the kids are creating these, so they might not be as good as this. But then when you click get rhyme, the next step, the students have to pick one of the rhyming words from this box, or come up with their own rhyming word and write another line that ends with that word. So the idea is for the students to continue creating their own song, if you will. Then what they do is they set up a beat and then they start singing to it on their own. So I mean, they're creating their own lyrics. So if they are creating their own lyrics, it's a high chance that they're probably going to remember it whenever it comes to any type of assessment or any type of recollecting or recalling important information. So basically that is going to conclude my part on Flocabulary and GimKit. I am going to also be supporting Miss Martinez, who's about to take the lead right now. I will be supporting her in the chat. If you guys have any questions, y'all are welcome to shoot those questions in the chat and we'll answer them as fast as possible. So let me go ahead and stop sharing so that way Miss Martinez can go ahead and take the lead.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm already getting to the afternoon. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing good today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and share my screen. I'm going to go ahead and go over quizzes. So let me go ahead and share. All right. So can everybody see my screen? Yes, I believe so.
Yes.
Okay. So today I'm going to go ahead and show you guys quizzes. I know a lot of people are very familiar with quizzes. Actually, quizzes is something that Miss Alejandra and I use a lot actually in our classroom. It's really good. It's kind of like flashcards, I would say, or a way for the students to practice the concepts that they need to learn. So the key points for today that I'm going to go over is the new item types, which is amazing. It's like a heaven sent because now with the new item types, with the, I know for science, there is now open-ended questions. So the students are able to now on quizzes practice doing that because our students, they tend to I guess they're not used to writing in science, so it's a little bit difficult for them. So this is a great way for them to practice. So the new item types that they have are, we have multiple choice, of course. They've always had that. They have match. Now, before I continue going on, I hope that you guys can see this little lightning ball here. Those that have the lightning ball, those are only for those that have a subscription, and it is the plus. So I know that the district doesn't pay for quizzes. I do pay for quizzes, but there are also other ways for you to get quizzes funded through Donors Choose. You may, speak to your admin or something like that. Maybe there's a way that you all can get the funds for this platform. But I love this platform. It's awesome. The kids really, really enjoy it. So we have Match where they're able to match up. We have Drag and Drop. Math response for those of you that do practice math. We have hotspot, which is another thing that they started to add, the new item type, reorder, fill in the blank, drop down, labeling, graphing. I mean, they have a ton of different ones. We also have higher order thinking, which is where they can draw. They can actually circle. So let's say that you have a cell, you can tell, oh, circle the nucleus or whatever the case may be. And I'll get to that right now. They have the video response, open-ended, audio response as well. They also have slides. You can do your presentation, the slides that you use to present to your students. Instead of using Google Slides, you can use quizzes as well to present to your students for your lessons. And they have the polls and the slides. And then also we're going to go over today the teleport pre-made questions or Google Form/Excel import. So there are different ways instead of going and typing in every single question all over again, they have the option to where you can teleport, which is like previously, like Miss Alejandra had shown in other platforms, you can kind of go and search and look for questions that you like, and those are already made for you. So you could just add them, and I'll get to that right now. And then they have synchronous and asynchronous versions, and that's where you can get your data, right? You can see what it is necessarily that your students need to practice a little bit more, right? Get better at, master at it, so that way they can do well on their exam or whatever the case may be. So let me go ahead and, for some reason I'm stuck here. There, oh, there it is. Okay, so let me go ahead and go into quizzes. So this is what it looks like right here. I already logged in. Quizzes, it is for free, but you are limited to certain things. Again, if you don't have, the I forgot what it's called. I believe it's called the plus, but there are ways to get it with your district or your school. But I do have my own individual account. So right here we have we're in the Explore tab. So in the Explore tab, you can see that they have already the subjects lined up for you here. So if you teach social studies, you would be able to click that, and then you would be able to automatically search just in the social studies category, or you can click science, math, English, and so forth, right? So this is for you to be able to look for quizzes that are already made. So that way, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you can kind of find quizzes that are already made and take out questions that you don't like and so forth, which I will be showing you right now. We also have the library, which is where you will house all of your quizzes. And then we have that's for the organization. If you do have the plan with the district, your reports right here is where you'll grab your reports and see how your students are doing. And you can click in them and it'll give you more detail. And then you have your classes. this is what I love about it, you can sync your Google Classroom into it. So that way the kids are able to have it in Google Classroom, and they're able to access it through there. So that way they're not having trouble looking for it. And then we have settings and so forth. So let me go ahead and go back to Explore. So like I said, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm sorry. I am a science teacher at LBJ Middle School. This year I will be teaching 7th grade. So 7th grade science. So let's say I'm looking for food chains, right? I'm going to teach my students food chains. I want them to practice, right? Because I already taught my lesson, and I want them to get more practice and make sure that they understand the lesson for the day, right? Or I want to give them homework. So right here right here they give you all the different results that they have. There's a ton, as you can see, 994,000 results. So you can go ahead and over glance and look at all of these different quizzes that they have. Right here, it'll kind of just give you an overview of the questions. And then from there, you can actually even add them to your own quizzes that you want to make. So this is a really great way to come up with questions, or maybe you want to change up the wording, right? You don't want to have to be breaking your head and think, oh my gosh, I don't know what to write. Like for me, for example, I kind of struggle a little bit writing up questions. So these give me like some really good ideas of to what to ask, right? So here are the different quizzes that they have here. We can also, like, for example, right here, it says quizzes and lessons, whatever content type you're looking for. If you're looking for quizzes and lessons on food chains, you can look at it through there. Or let's say I just want only a quizzes, then it'll go ahead and filter it out for me. So that way I'm able to see only the quizzes. And then you could also even check off how many questions you want. So if you want something short or something long, that's all up to you. And you have the question types, grades. So for me, I would click 7th grade, right? Subjects, you can click that as well. Languages, states, I mean, you name it. They have a lot of different stuff. Okay, so let me go ahead and go back. Now that I showed you how to explore, we're gonna go ahead and go to my library. So these are the ones that I have created. This is the created by me tab in my library. So these are all the different quizzes that I've made over time, right? And so I'm able to go into there and access the ones that I have created. You could also import. Now, import is something that's new. You're able to pull in questions from your quizzes library, or you could also import slides from the Google Drive, or you could create it from scratch, a quiz or a lesson. And then right here, you can see the previously used. So let's say, for example, last year, if I use a quiz that I really liked, but I can't remember on the top of my head what it was, I can go ahead and actually look through here and see what I use. So this is kind of like keeping track of your history, right? And you're going to be able to find that quizzes again if you really did like it. I also have liked quizzes. So for example, if there are quizzes that I found that I liked, I can go ahead and like them. So that way when I'm in the explore page, I can actually like it and refer back to it and go back to it whenever it is that I need it. We also have this shared with me. So this is a really great way for you and your colleague to share things. So as you can see, Miss Alejandra is here, right? We always share different quizzes that we make, that we used in the past and stuff like that. So this is a really great way to plan with your colleagues, right? And be able to share the wealth, right? And different quizzes that, were helpful for your students. Here I have drafts, which is one that I was kind of playing around with to see, I was creating the quizzes, and then this is all my content. So you can see everything on there. Now, recently, they just recently added my teams, which is basically syncing in the platform teams, the one that we're on right now. You could actually create a team and then share the quizzes that you want to share with your team. So for example, like right now this year, I'm going to be teaching 7th grade science. So if I wanted to share with my 7th grade team a quizzes that I really like, that I feel would be beneficial for our students, I can go ahead and just create a team on Teams and add in my colleagues, and then I can go ahead and share. So that's another great way, to share the wealth, right? And over here, we have my collections. You can get super organized with this if you're like, the type that likes everything super organized and have everything set up. you could have it by category, you could have it by the different like for example atoms, right? If I have my benchmark reviews, stuff like that, I can go ahead and organize them for myself, so that way if I wanted to make it easier for myself the next year, oh, I remember I made a benchmark review, okay, let me go to my benchmark review tab. So it's just, there's different ways, which I love about this platform. They're very they have a lot of features that makes you I guess more control, like you're able to be more organized and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and go to create. Okay, like I said, you can make a quizzes or you can create a lesson. I personally use mostly just the quizzes because what I would do was I would usually teach the concept that week or for that day. And then I would go ahead and make sure that my students retain that information, because the only way they're going to retain the information is by practicing, right? So what I would do is after I would teach the lesson, I would then assign them homework. Once a week, I would assign my students homework. They had a quizzes to do every week. So they already knew that was the standard in my classroom. They would have a quizzes to do, so that way they're able to practice that concept. So that way, by the time, we end up reviewing it again, if we have to, they already are mastered with that specific teak that I've gone over already. They also have, if you already have content ready, let's say you have a Google Forms, you can go ahead and do that. Like I know, for example, one time, Miss Alejandra and I, we had already had a Google form created with some flashcards, right? And so what we did was we're like, you know what, they're still not getting it. Let's go ahead and practice again. The great thing with quizzes is that the students are able to practice over and over and over again, an unlimited amount of times. So it's kind of like flashcards. They're able to do it over and over again till they get a perfect score, which is what I would always tell my students, like, keep on doing it until you get a perfect score. Then I know that you've mastered the teak. We also have Google Slides. So if you already have previous Google Slides that you've made, I know that a lot of us have a bunch of Google Slides from the COVID time, right? When we were having to teach online. So you can also import Google Slides and use quizzes, the lessons in here. So let's say I'm going to create a quiz. So I went ahead and clicked quiz. Again, because of the different item types that we have, now that's expected with the STAR test, we're able to use all of these different awesome different ways to do the assessment, right? So let's say I want to do a multiple choice. Well, multiple choice, the standard, right? Reorder, what reorder is when, as you can see right here with this little what would I call this? The little, they're kind of showing you a little preview of it. They're showing how you can put it, in, so let's say, for example, for us, we teach universe, right? So for the universe, we talk about the components of the universe, that the universe is the largest, right? So we would say universe would be the largest, and then all the way down to the last component of the universe would be the stars, right? So I would then tell them, okay, go ahead and put this from, biggest to smallest or smallest to biggest, whatever the case may be, right? You could use it for many different things. They also have drag and drop, as you can see with this little preview right here. They have different options. You can give them different options to drag and drop. I know that that's something that is on the STAR test, the drag and drop, so they're able to practice that, which is really good because the students sometimes struggle with that. So they're able to practice that motion of the drag and drop. Math response, I don't use this type of stuff. I teach science, but this is something great for those of you that do teach math. Then we have the hotspots. So for hotspots, this is great. I know that for hotspots, they use it to, highlight different locations or, to select a certain organelle, let's say of a cell. They tell you, okay, go ahead and click on the nucleus. So then they will go ahead and click it. In this one, they're showing the heart. So they want them to mark the correct position of the heart that they're asking for. We also have fill in the blank, match, so they're able to match up, drop down, so they're able to have that feature as well. I know that's also on the STAR test. Labeling, they're able to label, graphing, those of you that teach math, they're able to use graphing. You can also categorize. So I love this feature. It says that it's coming soon. So that would be awesome, because I know for science, we teach that, for example, asexual and sexual reproduction. So that would be great to be able to categorize, okay, which organisms are produce asexual, then they can go ahead and drag and drop. And then those that produce sexual, then they can drag and drop those organisms. They also have comprehension. So this would basically have a passage. So this would be really great for those RLA teachers out there. They're able to give the students a passage, and then they're able to read the passage and then answer the question. So very good for getting those students ready for the STAR test. We also have the draw. This one, they're showing the student draw a leaf. So this would be great for elementary, or even for middle school or high school, right? You can tell them, okay, go ahead and circle the producer in this food chain, or go ahead and circle the secondary consumer in this food chain, or whatever it may be. We also have the open-ended. So that way they're able to practice their open-ended. For this one, you will have to go ahead and individually check it, because they have two options to where you can go ahead and it can grade it for you exactly as you have it in the answer key, or around there. I don't know how that really works. I don't like to use that. I like to personally go in and check every single one, but I mean, to each is their own. They also have video response. So maybe if you want the kids to respond to a certain question, you want to check if they have how their knowledge is on that specific content. Audio response as well. Then we have the poll and the slides, like I said earlier. And then again, we can use a spreadsheet. We can import that, or the Google Forms. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and look for questions. So let's say I want to do food chains, right? I want to make a quizzes with food chains. There are millions of questions that you can search. It's all there, free, ready for you to go. So food chains. And then you can select from your community, your district, or from the library that you already have. I'm going to go ahead and just put community. So I go ahead and go into there. Let's say I'm looking at this one, and right here it says, this is a multiple choice question. A blank is an independent living thing. It's an organism. Ooh, I like that question. So let's go ahead and add that. And as you can see, it already automatically added it into my quiz that I want to create. Okay, so let's say that I want to add in another one. I go ahead and click search. And then again, food chain. And you can add multiple ones from the same one. It doesn't have to be, from different ones. If you like the whole entire one, then you can do that. So for example, this one right here, you can actually, if you look down and you keep on looking and you like this specific quiz, you can go ahead and add all 23 questions instead of adding every single question. You could just save yourself time and put add all 23 questions. And then there it is. It added them for me, and there they are, right? So that's perfect right there. That'll save me a lot of time, right? Instead of thinking about every single question, or I can go ahead and let's say I don't like this question, right? And I'm like, I don't like the way they worded this question. I can go ahead and go in and edit the question if I wanted to, right? So that's really neat. Also, you can change, let's say if they didn't have the answer correct, you can go ahead and change the answer, right? So let's say, I'm just saying, for example, if this was consumer, right, the correct answer would be consumer, then I would click consumer, but it was correct, it was organism. So also you have the option even over here too, if you want to go ahead and change it into fill in the blank. Let's say you like the question the way they worded it, but you want to change the way it's asked, like if you want to reorder, match, drag and drop, all that. I mean, there's so many different features on here. You could even add a picture. So you can add an image, you can upload it from your device. You can search. So they already have Google Safe Search images for you. So let's say that I wanted to look for an organism, right? I go ahead and search, and then I can go ahead and select the image that I like. This is an organism. I'm going to go ahead and save it, and there it is. Now you have a picture for your question. Okay, so that's really, really neat. I really enjoy this feature. Also, right here, you can add an answer explanation. So sometimes, there's only one of us and there's like 30 students in the classroom. So if you're not able to, answer or explain to the student why they got that question wrong, you can add an answer explanation onto here. You could add media, you could add a image, you can add your voice, right? If you want to verbally explain to the student why that question was wrong or the answer that they chose was wrong. You could also add a video. So if you want to add like a YouTube video or something to explain to the student, if there's like a really good video that you like how they explain, you could use that as well. Or you could just go ahead and type it. So that's completely up to you. Also, time. So I like to use this because my students sometimes, whenever I let them, let's say we're doing a live quizzes, sometimes they like to just sit there and, just look around. So what I like to do is I like to add time. Okay, so that way it keeps the students going because let's say I put a minute. Well, they only have 1 minute to answer this question, right? So they got to really, think about it quickly, not waste any time, or, helps maximize our time that we have in the classroom, right, with them. So I would put 1 minute. And so my student only has 1 minute to answer this particular question. Once the 1 minute ends, then it'll move them on to the next question. So if they don't answer this question, they're going to get it wrong. Okay. And then over here we have points. So you can determine which ones, which question that you want to count for more points, right? Maybe there's an easy question that you don't want it to count for so much points. You can go ahead and, change the different points there. You can also tag it. Okay. So if there's different tags that you want to use, that would, be great. So that way, in case you're looking for a tag, you can go ahead and look for that, and then it'll pop that up for you. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and go back. I'm running a little short on time here, so let me go ahead and just do one with you. I'm going to go ahead and show you all the different item types so that way you guys can get a little feel for it. I'm going to go. Oh, also one quick thing. I love this. This is a new feature that they have, the AI enhance. So now with AI, we're able to fix errors. AI can even create for you different questions. Okay, so just a little FYI there. They do now have AI included. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one because I did not save it. I'm going to go ahead and start a live quiz. I'm going to go ahead and do classic. And then you have all these different features that you can do, right? I'm just going to go ahead and continue because we're running a little short on time here. And then you can go ahead and join. I'm going to go ahead and share the link in the chat. I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and go back. And there's the code. So if you want to go ahead and join, I'm just going to give you guys about a minute to join because I know we are running short on time because I want to go over Book It with you all because that's another platform that I'm going to show. And also what's really cool is that if the students happen to not have, sometimes their computer is not working or they forgot it at home, they can join with their phone with the QR code. So you can pop this up for them. You can click it, it'll pop up, and then they're able to join on their phone. Okay, you could pick the themes and all that great stuff. I'm going to go ahead and go into Book It because I know we only have about 4 minutes, right? 4 minutes. So let me go ahead and end this. I want to be able to show you guys Book It. So let's go into Book It. So Book It is a lot more simple. There's not as much features as quizzes. Again, it has the same thing where you can discover, you can go ahead and look up, let's say, body systems, right? You can go in there, you can look for already made questions, right? It's very similar to quizzes. However, when you create a Book It, there's not that many options. And I'll show you right now. They only have fill in the blank, like typing, and they only have multiple choice. So if you create one, you can add the image, the title, you can make it public or not. They have the option to create it manually. You can import things from questions from Quizlet, and if you have a CSV import, you can also do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and go to my sets. This is a new feature that they started with the folder. Now you can organize everything. So that's really neat if you want to go back. Like I said, we have everything organized. Right here, we have a booklet. Now, what are booklets? Booklets are these little icons here. The students love them. They love adding up those points, the tokens, the golds, so that way they're able to get different type of booklets. So it really keeps the students engaged, and they get all excited, and they like, no, they get like really into it. And it's really funny. But I like keeping my students engaged. So right here, we have this one right here. This is a set that I have atoms in the periodic table. I can edit it. I can delete it. Actually, I can even share the link with my colleagues if I want to. I can make a copy of it. I can merge it with another booklet that I have, so I can add, like, let's say, for example, if I wanted to do atoms and plate tectonics, I can merge that with my plate tectonics booklet, so that way it's all combined into one. You could actually use this one. You can assign it as a homework or live. So they have all these different cool games here that you can use. You can host it live as well. And we only have 1 minute, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and stop right here. I'm so sorry, guys, that we ran out of time. There's just so many different features. Does anybody have any questions? Because we have about 1 minute left. I'm sorry about that, guys, that we ran out of time. No? We're gonna go ahead and just wait here. We appreciate it so much. Oh, yes. Okay, Mr. Torres, he added the survey. So if you all could please do that for us, we would greatly appreciate it. That just gives us feedback on how we did, and so that way we can improve for next year when we, when we, I can't think of the word right now. Next time when we present. Yes, so please don't forget to do the survey. We really appreciate you all showing up and taking time out of your day to see us present these different platforms. We hope that you enjoyed our presentation. So yeah, thank you. Have a great day, guys.